Hello, everyone in Group Shamrock, and thank you for joining me this evening to work on Cassia's case. Um, as a reminder, we're going to be using the solution-focused case consultation guidelines. The first portion of which is the solution-focused question phase. The second is the wonderment phase, and third is the complement phase, and the fourth is the debriefing. I know we've been through this a ton of times already. Um, but and just as a reminder for the first section, the solution focused question phase, the order is going to be Avery and then Gray and then Erica. For part two, wonderments, compliments, and debrief are all going to be popcorn style. So, um, did anyone have anything they wanted to ask before we get going? All right. Uh, take it away, Avery.
All right. So, Cassia, what are your best hopes for this consultation?
Um, I guess I would like to gain clear guidance on ethically and effectively following up with Taraj despite the lack of parental uh, contact. And I really would like to clarify my boundaries in reaching out to a minor in this situation and just identify concrete steps in terms of connecting with him, making sure he's in stable housing and has, appropriate mental health resources.
So, suppose that you do kind of have more concrete steps. You walk away from that or from this with that, and you have realized your boundaries and you have an idea of what to do going forward. What will be different for you?
Um, I will have a clear plan of action um, with the supervisor and the doctor. You know, I think also Taraj will be engaged with support services instead of falling through the cracks. Um, and I would just feel more confident in terms of, if I have a similar case in the future, I can navigate it because I already went through this.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. So what are your best hopes for this person and for this situation?
He will have secure, stable housing. Taraj will have secure, stable housing and a safe environment. He will also be receiving consistent mental health care if possible. Hopefully with the African American counselor. And I also want to help him develop a support network beyond his current immediate family.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, Cassia, say Taraj has more stable housing, is engaged with mental health supports, and has a broader support network. What will be different when that happens?
I think it would open the door for him to possibly reconnect with his mother and his father. That will give a great opportunity. Since everything is settled, he can work on that issue in terms of the relationship problems he's having with his parents.
And what else will be different?
Um, his stressors regarding, the traumatic situations that he's been in will possibly decrease. And it could also reduce the likelihood of him having future crises.
Having a future crisis.
Mm.
Mhm. And what will like he notice that is different?
Um, he will notice that there is someone that's advocating for him, that there is somebody that is standing up for him, that has his back, that's following up with his well-being, and that he does have other options instead of feeling, trapped and alone and just wandering out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What will others notice when the best hopes are realized?
I think the doctor and my supervisor will see that there is some kind of following through instead of the case being bounced back and forth. And, the case isn't stagnated, just sitting there, like there is some progress being made.
Yeah,
Maybe CPS may be uh, more motivated to re-engage now that, he's being contacted.
for sure.
I mean, since he's being more receptive to help.
And so let's say there's more stability for Taraj, perhaps reconnected with family, supports through CPS. What would be different for you if all of those things were realized?
I would have increased clarity on ethical boundaries in cases with minors, since he's a minor, so I would have that knowledge of what to do. And, if I have another case in the future that's similar, and I would just have more confidence, in navigating these type of challenges.
For sure. Thank you.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 stands for, you meeting your goal, you're having those goals realized, and 1 stands for the opposite, where do you feel you are right now?
I think that I am a 4 because I'm actively working on this case, but I'm facing some roadblocks.
And what tells you that you are not at a 5?
Because I have made some progress. I provided the mother contacts for therapy, African American male counselor, that's what she wanted. So I knew of 2, and I provided her those contacts in case she's able to get back in touch with Taraj, to make that counseling happen. And I'm just doing my best to explore the next steps.
Mhm.
So, is that why you feel you're not lower than a 4? Is that
Yes.
okay? What tells you that you're not higher than a 4 at the moment?
Um, because I'm just still having some issues connecting with him.
Mhm.
That's
Okay. And that's a big component, right? A big piece of the puzzle here. Um, so where ideally do you want to be?
I really would like to be at an 8 or 9 in this situation, because I would have a clear plan in motion and, a way to track to Raj and make sure that he's safe.
And if you were 1 step higher, so if you were at a 5, what exactly do you think will be different?
Well, one step above would be maybe I would have confirmation on where Taraj is staying and know that he is having access to resources.
Okay. And so when you're at that 1 point higher, what do you think you'll be doing different than what you're doing right now?
I think I may have to possibly re-engage CPS against the doctor and my supervisors. How do I say it? Their recommendations, because this is a minor who's out there without any type of help. And I think it's my responsibility as a social worker to try my best to re-engage them in this situation.
Okay, thank you.
So, what are you already doing that's on track?
Well, I'm currently advocating, for following up to try to get him to, well, I'm trying to still contact the doctor and trying to talk to my supervisor and just trying to figure out what's the best way to handle the situation. Um, I'm also I'm still looking for mental health resources that align with his needs, because like I said, his mother wants him to have an African American male counselor. And at the time, one of the contacts I gave her, the website wasn't working and there was an issue. So I'm still at the process of still looking for more contacts that fit the criteria that she wants.
What else are you doing that's on track?
I'm just making sure that I document and I keep a record of everything that's transpiring. Mhm.
What is Taraj doing that's on track?
Um, he is seeking help from the doctor, which was a shock for me. He, came into the doctor's office and he reached out to the doctor and told the doctor that his father kicked him out and he's homeless. And so the doctor was able to give him a contact to Compass House. So that's one thing that he's really doing is seeking help in spite of the trauma that he's been through.
Yeah. What else is he doing that's on track?
I think him being open about this trauma and being open about him being homeless and the different um, traumatic details that he's been through is something that he's doing its own trauma.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, what is the next small step?
Um, I think it is to really try my best to contact the mother again because I was hesitant to do that because she doesn't like all of these calls. And she also accused me last time of making an appointment for him that I never did. And I'm very hesitant to keep on calling house to garage, but I think I may call one more time as a small little step just to see if he's okay, if she got any contact, and then just talk to my supervisor about something else.
So, I think you kind of were already going down this pathway, but so in calling mom, how will that be helpful?
Well, she would be able to let me know if Taraj called her at all, or if she heard anything, even though she doesn't want me to call her again, for like the eighth time, like come on. Um, I think she would at least tell me, hey, I did hear from him or whatnot. And, I was able to reach one of those contacts that you gave me, and maybe we can, since I'm hearing from my son, maybe we can start doing a counseling.
And thank you to our esteemed panel. We will now move into the wonderment phase. So Cassie, if you could mute your mic and turn off your camera, we are going to talk about you and your case. Set a timer. So, what are your wonderments?
I wonder, Cassia had mentioned that Taraj had reached out to the doctor and was willing to make that connection. So I'm wondering what about the doctor is making him want to connect with him, but nobody else.
Building on that, I wonder if the doctor is able to pass along Cassia's information rather than giving Cassia Taraj's information and see if Taraj will reach out to Cassia.
Yeah, kind of on that note, I wonder how those who have been in contact with Taraj, like how all providers, or if all providers, have worked together or even tried.
Yeah,
Oops. Go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. I'm really wondering about the details of the CPS case and like if the parents should be involved at all, if the case dealt with abuse from the parent or some sort of issue with the parents.
Right. And I think uh got kicked out of dad's house, was it? Yeah, his dad kicked him out, so he was having difficulty at mom's, went to Pops's, and then got kicked out for unknown reasons. So yeah, which maybe when yeah, so um yeah, I wonder how Cassia is like what resources Cassia is pulling on to kind of continue with this tenacious, getting like kind of rerouted and doctor sends to counselor or supervisor to, you know, yeah, like what personal resources that she's drawing on. Because it sounds like it's a really frustrating case that's taking a lot of energy and she's still like really evidently uh in on it and there for Taraj even if they're not in contact.
I wonder if Cassia realizes how much this would mean to Taraj if Taraj knew how much effort is being put in on her part to try to reach out to him and make sure that he's safe, especially given his background and history with this family.
I'm wondering how Cassia's supervisors have been supporting her through the situation.
Yeah, what level of support she feels like she has received from her supervisor in this.
Speaking of the supervisor, I'm wondering why they don't want Cassia to reach out to CPS.
Mm. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know, something about like the mom seems really resistant to getting calls, although she wants help for Taraj. I mean, obviously, but like what other methods of contacting the mom are available, right? Because it's like, well, I am calling to attempt to help your son. I don't know. Just wondering if there are other avenues, other people that could call anything. Or if Cassia is the best, like person to do it, although the mom doesn't like it very much.
I'm wondering if there's a CPS history with the mom, if that's why she's hesitant to accept calls.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is a part of the reason why I was wondering earlier about like if the parents should be involved at all, or if like, yeah, if it's safer for Taraj and makes more sense to try to, collaborate a little bit more. Somebody brought up earlier, like if the doctor and the supervisor, and because, to what degree are y'all working together? I wonder if, yeah, the parent is not the is not going to be the most fruitful route is something that I'm wondering.
Yeah. I'm also wondering, because at least part of this was Cassia asking like what the ethics are of contacting a minor, and off the top of my head, like nothing that I can remember from like NASW or whatever other, like I wonder where she might be able to kind of locate a definitive answer to, contacting minors directly. Because it's not information that I have, unfortunately, like in front of me.
Um, I feel like I vaguely remember. I wonder if my memory is correct about something that I read, I think in NYLU or NYCLU, like the ACLU like state specific ones. They have a guide about adolescent rights, and I wonder if my memory is correct about um a clinician not needing parental consent um to have an initial appointment with a minor. Um and and even more so not needing consent for continued relationship if it's not safe for the parents to know.
Thank you so much for that wonderment, Erica, and thank all of you for your wonderments. And now we will move to phase 3. Welcome back, Cassia, which is the compliment phase. Um, yeah, y'all get to complimenting.
Erica, do you want to go? Um, I was just gonna say that I think from what I've seen in the field so far, one of the hardest things that I feel like social workers have to deal with is when, your heart, you feel like you know what you want to do to support the client, but you've got a supervisor or another provider or somebody who's not telling you to do something differently. So I think you really are in one of the hardest positions to be in. And I just want to, you should give yourself a pat on the back because you truly are doing everything possible for Taraj, and you're trying so hard to connect with his mom. And I just think that's really admirable, despite the rock and the hard place that you're between right now.
Yeah. Cassia, I'm really struck by the depth of like your empathy and sensitivity in this case. Like there's such deep care. Um, that is really just apparent to me. And yeah, I think it's admirable.
I think I'm impressed by just how much work you've been putting into this to caring about this child's safety and finding all the resources and doing so much work. I'm really impressed by just how much effort you're putting into this.
Yeah, and I think at least in part I'm echoing what everyone else is saying, but or kind of weaving in between. Like having to navigate like all of these different, stakeholders, and, having to manage personalities and agendas and all of that, and keeping Taraj's well-being foremost in the midst of that is I don't know, that's like A plus, like social worker focus right there. So well did, and thank you for doing that work. Does anyone have any further compliments? Don't have to. All
I was
right.
going to say what I said before. I'm just impressed by how much effort and thought you put into this case. Like you've really gone above and beyond.
You're doing really important work too. So
Yeah. Awesome.
100.
100%. All right. If we are done with the compliment phase, and thank you all for your work, we can move to the debriefing. As a reminder, not a time to discuss the case, but just generally the process by which we worked through it today. So, Cassia, how was this for you?
I think it was an amazing experience. I got to hear from all of you concerning, your viewpoints on this situation. It's not an easy situation. And, I was even wondering, why is it being bounced back to me? I don't even know, what to do. So hearing each of your wonderments have really helped me tremendously. Tomorrow when I go in, I will be sending the doctor a note asking that if it's possible, maybe he can pass on my information to Taraj, and kind of stop this cycle. So I have all of, each of your inputs have really helped me tremendously in this situation, and I greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. I'm so glad that it was helpful for you.
Absolutely.
And panel, uh, what worked for you all today?
Well, I think PR, your facilitation was amazing and helped, shepherd us along this consultation. Because yeah, I also think I just felt like a lot of honesty and vulnerability from you that made it easier to like connect to the case and like just really hear and feel the challenges of it, which almost in some ways made me feel motivated to like really chew on this one. So I think you brought a kind of like honesty and vulnerability that like gets buy-in almost in the consultation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like the degree to which it matters to Cassia, like makes not that anyone else's case didn't matter, but it's like, oh, this matters to you, and as such, like I really want to dig.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all feel it more when someone is also showing that they feel it too.
Yeah.
I think it was nice being able to explore like such a complicated case. Um, like again, not dissing anyone else's case. Like we're all dealing with our own stuff, but echoing what Erica said, there's like a lot at stake in this for you, and I think that it was really um like a nice process to be able to all go into that together. And plus, I love this group.
Same.
I feel like as somebody who wants to work with youth but hasn't really had the opportunity to work with, I've only worked with like elementary age. So, Cassia, of course, I'm not happy that you're facing this issue right now, but I did think it was great to hear your perspective because, and depending on what field we all go into, this is all something that we could possibly deal with. So it's a great way to kind of bounce ideas off of one another and just learn, which is kind of how all of these have felt. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's, we as a group are also like maturing and feeling more connected or, but I think that being, what are we, like 4 of these in now? This being the 4th, I think that I like I like feeling a little bit more comfortable and settled into this space
Yeah.
with you all.
Yeah, thank you all for putting that groundwork down in the previous weeks. All right, we all set? Cool. Let me see if I can figure out how to stop the recording.
That's always the worst part.
Yeah, this is where I look silly. Pause stop recording. There you are.